Hallelujah. Glory be to the name of the Lord. So today I want to share a short message with you that I titled Draw from the Well. Draw from the well. I am not talking about drawing water from the well because I know mere saying that the first thing that came to your mind was, okay, does she want us to fetch water? Is she talking about being thirsty? Okay, so I'm not talking about being thirsty. I'm talking about drawing from the well of your testimony. You know, God has done so many things for us in the past. We probably don't consider so significant. Like, what's the big deal with getting a job that is not your dream job? You know, it might not be a big deal to you, but I'm saying it's a testimony. You know, God came through for us in so many ways. Even the fact that we slept, peacefully last night and woke up to the brightness of another day, it's a testimony. There are so many things that God has done for us that we don't pay attention to. But I'm telling you today that either you pay attention to them or you don't. They are deposited somewhere in this well that I'm referring to. So when now shows up, I'm encouraging you to go to then, to strengthen yourself or to strengthen your faith, you know, for now. So anytime you face any challenge, or I want you to always remember what he did then, what he did when you were sick, what he did when you had no job, what he did, what he did when you were still praying for the fruit of the womb, and now you have your own baby. Always go back to then to sustain your hope for now. You know what David said in First Samuel chapter 17, verse 37. David said, moreover, the Lord that delivered me out of the paw of the lion and out of the paw of the bear, he will deliver me out of the hand of this Philistine. And Saul said unto David, go, and the Lord be with thee. You see, David remembered what the Lord did for him. And then he's using that to fuel his faith for now. When the giant was standing in front of him, he had Goliath to fight with. And he didn't look at the size of Goliath. He didn't look at the armies of Israel who had better resources and who are better suitable, for that battle. But he was able to face that battle because he remembered what God did for him then to fuel his faith for now. So that's exactly what I'm trying to say to encourage you today, that don't give up on it's just a phase in your life. I'm talking to myself too. So when God gives me any message like this, I know it's for me and by extension you. So I'm not talking like somebody who is perfect, who has got everything in control. I mean, under control. I am a work in progress too. But I'm telling you that that's what I've been doing. I've been so intentional about that now because I don't want the devil to just mess up with my life or mess up with my mind to the point that I lose it. Some people have gone, they've allowed their emotion to rule their life to the point that now you hear about suicidal attempts or even ended their lives or anything, like that had happened to them. I am saying let your testimony of yesterday be significant enough to fuel your faith for now, to be able to pull through the challenges of life. Another thing I want you to know is that it doesn't last forever. It's just for a phase. These too shall pass away. Don't be like the Israelites who saw everything that the Lord did for them in Egypt or what he did in Egypt. Plagues happening here, testimonies that you would expect a normal person to be able to draw from, to remember when challenges come. So they got to the other side of Red Sea, and then just a little journey away from the Red Sea, they were thirsty and they saw water, but they couldn't drink it because it was bitter. And instead of them to remember the God of yesterday, they forgot what God did in Egypt. They forgot all the miracles, all the wonders he performed in Egypt for Pharaoh to even let them go in the first place. They didn't remember any of that. Even what he did, how he parted the Red Sea for them to walk on dry ground, they did not remember. They quickly forgot. How God destroyed the Egyptians in the Red Sea, they did not remember. Little challenge, they'll start murmuring, they'll start flaring up, they'll start calling Moses different names, like they'll be angry. So as I'm sharing this with you, it's a lesson for me too, that we should not be quick to forget the miracles of yesterday, the testimonies of yesterday. Let it be strong enough, let it be significant enough to fuel your faith for tomorrow, to fuel your faith for now, for what you're going through now. Don't forget that God will never leave you nor forsake you. He will come through for you. The psalmist says in Psalm 103, verse, I can't remember the verse, I think verse 2, that bless the Lord, O my soul, and forget not all his benefits. Do not be quick to forget. Do not be quick to forget. Anytime now shows up in your life, please go back to then to fuel your faith for now, and God will bless you. Let me go back to then of my life, share one or two testimonies with you that can encourage you uh, to trust God. So these are things I go back to when the challenges of life come, and then I use that to fuel my own faith for now too, that God will do what he has said will do, because I remember when he did this for me, I remember when he did that for me, and I'm able to, hold on, just hold it there, that he won't disappoint me. If he has said it, then he will do it. I remember when I was young, so my mom worked with Nigerian Postal Service for almost all the years that I knew her as a career woman. So she was going for, she had a lot of trainings that she was going through at that stage of our lives. She had only me and my sister at the time. My brother had not come. So anytime she was going for a training, she would take me to my maternal grandmother's place in Ilara, and take my sister to my paternal grandmother's place in Akure. So that's how she was able to juggle work and family and all that. So there was in one of the visits, one of the times that she took us to her grandparents. I was with my grandmother in Ilara, and my grandmother was always going for this early morning prayer. They call it Adura Aro, Adura Uro or something. That's prayer, morning prayer. So that, which was around I think 5:30. So I was always going with her. But this particular day, I don't know, for some reasons she felt I should sleep. Maybe she thought I was deep, asleep, and then she didn't want to disturb me. So she just, when she was ready to leave, she held my hand and took me, and on her way out of the environment, because she left her own house, and then she took me to another person's house, which I wouldn't like to mention because this is family. So she took me to that person's house and told the person to please keep it till when she's done. She was done with her prayer. So the woman laid mat for me, and then I laid on the mat. And so the woman, she thought immediately that I'd fallen asleep again, but I was still conscious because I'm not really a deep sleeper even till now, though it's been a lot better because childbearing would just deal with you differently and some things would change. But growing up, even up till a few years back, I wasn't a deep sleeper at all. Until now, I can still say I'm not a deep sleeper. So the woman thought as a child I was sleeping, but I wasn't. So I saw that she went to her wardrobe and she reached up to the wardrobe, and then she brought something down that looked like a round something, like I think it was a calabash, and then she brought it down and just did like this over my head. She like hover it over my head, and I didn't know what to do, if I should shout or I should be quiet. I was just mute. I was just there pretending like I was sleeping. So when my grandmother came, she took me to her own house, and then life continued until I think few days after we left. So my mother took me to a station in Owo, back home. And shortly after we got home, I started feeling this headache. When the headache would come, it was excruciating. It would feel like they should just cut my head off. It was terrible. And I didn't tell my grandmother what the woman did, but I told my mom when the headache started, when it became very serious. So my mom was so furious, like she allowed me to go to my grandmother's place because she thought she would be able to take care of me. So she was a bit disappointed. So she took me back to my grandmother and then complained to her, what I said and that and that. And my grandmother was, and she was sad. So of course, in a bid to find solution to this headache thing, she went here and there, and then she came back with this soap. it was a black soap. It was black soap in a bowl. I can remember the bowl. Now it was a green bowl, just regular storage bowl, and then the soap was inside. So it would just bring, I mean, scoop the soap out, bring out the soap, and then rub it on my head, and then they will wash my head, backward this way, because she was instructed that they should wash it this way. So they will wash my head this way, and then in no time the headache will subside. It will stop. And then it became a pattern. So even when we went back to my mother's station, it became a pattern that every month, or at a particular time of the month, that it would start, and then it was always a mess. And then my mother would be forced to go and carry the soap and then wash my head, and it continued like that for a long time. At a point, I became uncomfortable with the whole thing. Like, am I going to continue my life like this? So I would go to secondary school. I can't go and sleep over somewhere. I will have to be carrying soap everywhere. So I told my mother, another episode happened, and my mother reached out, for the soap, and then she brought it, and she took me to the bathroom. And I told her, Mommy, today is the last day. I'm not going to use this soap. A part of her was happy, like she wasn't even comfortable with it. But I'm sure a part of her too was sad. Like, what's going to happen after that? So I collected the bowl of that soap from her. I can remember it was a green bowl. I collected it from her, and I went to the staircase. There was this bush, at the back of the house, and I just threw it, into the bush, and that was it. I suffered. After I threw it away, I suffered that month because the headache was terrible. But funny enough, we just went about our life, and we didn't even remember that I had headache. Before I knew it, we just noticed that, oh, we've not washed this head in a couple of times, and that was how it just disappeared. God just used my faith that day to just take that burden, that trouble, that problem away from my life. And I never felt that way again. That's a testimony. Another one was when I was in secondary school. I waited, we stayed back, myself and a couple of mates in my class. We stayed back to observe a prep, to read. And then by the time we were done, coming out of school compound, there was no bus again to take us to the main, like a bus stop where we could get, taxis to our different locations, our different houses. So, and we couldn't take a taxi from front of our school because it was pricey, it was expensive for students. So myself and my classmate then decided to walk down to the nearest bus stop, the major bus stop, which at the time I left for Ashaye Girls Grammar School, and then we walked down to ESO. And that ESO was where, a central place that you could get, taxi to just anywhere you're going. So by the time we got to that place, we needed to cross to the other side to then to enter the taxi. So by the time we looked left, right, and we looked again, and then to cross, the next thing I heard was, ah! A car just took me off the road. He threw me to the other side of the road. This man, he was driving on the wrong road. It wasn't the direction he should follow anyway, but he wanted to cut, traffic, because there was traffic on the other side. I think because there was fuel. I don't know, maybe there was fuel scarcity, and he wanted. I don't know what exactly that guy was looking for. He just passed another side. He was just on the wrong lane anyway. So we didn't expect a vehicle to be coming from that direction, and that was how he hit me, and he carried me from that main road where I was. He just threw me to the other side of the road. My school bag was picked from one side. My lunch bag was picked on the other side. My cooler had, everything was just scattered. And people picked those things for me. And I was just hearing, Oti Payon, meaning you've killed someone. It was at that point I was a bit conscious, like, no, I'm not dead. I'm still here. So I opened my eyes, and I just looked at a lot of people standing close to where I was, standing around here. I was like, no, I was embarrassed. So quickly I got up because I didn't like the scene. I opened my eyes too. So I got up and I pretended like I was fine. I just said, give me my bag, give me my bag. I collected my bag. I was trying to find my way out of the whole mess, and somebody was just shouting, hold that girl. She's not okay. And I knew I wasn't fine. So that was how they hid me, and then they carried me to the hospital, the state hospital, and I was taken care of, my wounds, and I was given medication, and then the man took me home. And then the following day, he showed up again. We went to the clinic, and that was how God saved me. Do you know how many people had died, from even minor accidents. But God saved me. That's another testimony. I can go on and on and on and on to different times in my life where God had showed up for me. The miracle of sleeping and waking up alone is a lot. So, yes, there are 1,001 things that God has not done that I've been praying for, but I'm not discouraged. Because as bad as they might feel sometimes, and as terrible as the devil might make it feel sometimes, I go back to this well of my testimonies and I pull out from there to feed and strengthen me for now. That's all I have to say to you. Please trust God. If He has said it, then He will do it. I remember this song that says that when your back was against the wall and you felt, let's just forget about it, this is the end. He made a way. He came through for you. He showed up. He showed up for me. Different stages of different junctions of my life. He showed up. He came through. And I decree in the name of Jesus Christ that God will show up for you. You will not wait in vain. You will not serve Him in vain. He has said that He will not suffer the house of Jacob to seek Him in vain. But the only thing is, make sure you are steadfast. Make sure you are living a holy life, a righteous person. Be that. So that you will be able to beat your chest to say, yes, I am on the Lord's side, and He will come through for you. Bye.
Edo.